Hey there, and welcome to my channel. I'm still calling work in progress. I think I'll always call it that. I know I keep saying that, but anyway, that's where I'm at so far. So I want to start out just with a quick reminder that, as I'm kind of letting this channel find its own way, so to speak. I think I mentioned the other day, like following the yellow brick road. But at the same time, something that hasn't changed so far is that I really have this idea that if we can gather together, just everyday people like you and me, and share the stories of our particular life's journey, that we can really begin to help one another. Because I really believe it's through these stories of our particular challenges, successes, um, you know, something in between successes and challenges, whatever, to be able to share the journey with one another. One, we're going to find out we're more alike than not alike. And most importantly, is we're going to help someone. So that reminder means that I'm looking for people that are open and willing to share their stories with me in a conversation that we'll do on Zoom, and then I'll put it on this channel. And I think that's going to open up maybe even some brand new ideas, but what it's really going to do is open us up to help one another. So if this appeals to you, my contact information is below the video, and so give me a holler, and let's take it from there and see where that can go. So I do this at the beginning. I know it might be repetitive if you're listening to these videos, and I apologize for that, but I do it at the beginning just in case, somebody doesn't stay till the end, because I know my videos tend to be a little bit long. So, forgive me for that, but let's see how this thing goes. So far, I'm being guided to keep announcing this. So today, I want to talk about what I think is really becoming very important as we are moving through this time as through this human evolutionary process. I think the universe is really demanding, in a way, of us to really get into discovery of who we are. Each one of us to actually take a deep dive into discovering the truth of who we are. And that can be done in probably 100 different ways or more. But one of the ways that I've been thinking about, and in fact I talked about this on a most recent video, is discovering how we are functioning out in the world, and discovering that a lot of our beliefs, decisions, the way we react to things are on automatic. Like, it's automatic, meaning we're not even aware, but we're just going through the motions, kind of like a robot, really, a programmed robot, that we're just in this kind of program, and it happens most of the time in our childhood through, the belief systems, the programs, the culture that we came from, all the variations can happen from teachers in school, whatever. We collect this information that begins to form this identity with the self, the false self. So just as a quick reminder, right? We come into this, we incarnate into this body. We know before we incarnate who we are. We're spirit, we're source, we're soul, part of God, however you look at it. But we incarnate, or a part of us does. And we then completely have a memory blank of who we really are. And that begins this process. So when we're completely, have no idea anymore who we are, in other words, our memory has just been wiped out, then we are very susceptible to being programmed into particular belief systems that our family or generations of our family have been about. And so we start to then take on that belief, and then we take on the belief that we're this character in this movie, so to speak, And that's where we begin operating from. But we all have come in with an agreement, a contract, a script, can be called a lot of different things. And the purpose of this was typically to have certain experiences, to probably learn something, to maybe get through something from past lifetime that we didn't complete. There's all kinds of ideas of how we come in for a particular lifetime, and I think all of them are true. Just we can only understand it in a certain way as humans, because we can't really understand it yet as the source or the truth of who we are. Anyway, so that's where the whole losing of who we really are comes together, and then we get kind of into this hypnotic mode, so to speak, of just functioning in a certain way, but we're not aware of why this is happening until we get to probably a certain point in our life, where those of you that are listening to this, you had to get to the point of this whole channel would have no interest to you. And then we get to a point where we begin to start to kind of wake up a little bit at a time out of this dream. And when we begin to wake up, we begin to kind of realize that I've had this belief system, but I don't think it's actually true, or I don't think it's actually me. And just to talk about this for a few minutes, you'll hear about people that have, like for instance, I actually know somebody like this, a doctor. Who became a doctor because his parents were doctors, and it was just the thing that he knew he had to do. In other words, this programming and belief system were set into place. So he automatically goes through the process of becoming a doctor. Smart guy, does quite well in medical school and so forth. However, something deep inside of him is kind of trying to get his attention, kind of churning to where, after beginning to practice for a little bit of time as a doctor, there's something that's just not being fulfilled. However, he's been programmed, and this is what he would be as a doctor. And so he goes through this conflict and this very difficult time of being challenged with what is it that's wanting to kind of come out, to say maybe there's something he should be doing. And little by little, he starts to discover something that he actually always knew, but he couldn't see it at the time because he's programmed, was that really he didn't want to be a doctor. He really wanted to be more of a stand-up comedian was part of it, an actor that, has the humor side, that maybe acts in more of those types of movies. I mean, it was so far removed, right, from being a doctor that it almost couldn't be any further apart. And so, after a few years, after going through all of the med school and starting his practice and all the money and the time that was spent, he gets to a point where he can just no longer practice as a doctor. So I find these stories really a good example of how we go into this amnesia of who we are, and kind of as a robot, kind of go through these beliefs, and we become, as we become adults, and then we go to a particular career for whatever reason. There's a belief system attached to it. Could be, somebody becomes an accountant because that's the safest thing to do, where really he wanted to be, a jock, an athletic person that maybe play on a football team, whatever. It's all these differences, and many times, what's interesting is what somebody becomes, because this is their programming, versus who they really are, what their passion is, are miles and miles apart. And for some people, maybe quite a few people, they discover somewhere in their career that this isn't where they want to be. So there's an example of this following this robotic type of way of being. But it's, I mentioned this in the video the other day. It's a fully across the board. It really kind of moves into all aspects of our life. So it can be about how how you live your life, like a certain lifestyle. It could be about money, saving money, being frugal with money, or making a lot of money. That would be another part, that you need to make a certain amount of money. You need to be a certain amount of success to be acceptable, to be what you're supposed to be. Now, all this happens in a very innocent way. It's not like there's evil out there doing this. And it also happens in a way that we're placed with a particular family or in a culture and a particular generations of something in order to go through this self-discovery. So self-discovery really means discovering who you are behind the scenes. In other words, the who you are isn't this programmed, what do I want to say, robotic type individual. You've bought in because why? I mean, when I say you've bought in, it's kind of not right to say that in a way, but in another way, that's kind of what happens to these particular beliefs and programming. Now, it doesn't happen 100% that way. For me, it didn't. For some reason, I resisted what I was being told in terms of who I was, which was, not a good thing. I was not perfect enough. I wasn't smart enough. I just wasn't enough, and I was going to be always not enough. And so that was an emotional programming. Some of the other programming, of course, some beliefs I bought into, and I've been able to let a lot of those go as I discovered, when did I start believing that? It doesn't make sense anymore. And you've all been through that as well. But right now, as we are moving through this process that's definitely challenging right now, if we're on this planet as a breathing human having this experience, it's absolutely essential that we spend the time and, more importantly, get aware of the fact that we need to get in touch through self-discovery of the who we really are. And I don't just mean that we're spirit having a human experience. That's a piece of it. But there's a whole other piece to discover, like I say, behind the scenes, the passion and the passion and the beliefs that are the beliefs that no longer serve us, so that we get rid of those. And what's going to be revealed is the passion of who we really are in this particular lifetime, so that we're following our intuition, because it's our intuition that really is our passion, that is taking us to this fulfillment, to this place of having peace of mind, to this place of a knowing. It's just, if you've heard people say this before, probably, there's just a knowing of, oh, this is what I want to be in this particular lifetime. This is where I want to be. This is how I want to be. And we've got all this other garbage that we've brought along with us that has been saying some of maybe quite the opposite. And so we're trying to have one foot in each world, and it begins to get very uncomfortable. And we begin to get very confused and depressed and fearful. Can happen as well. So this self-discovery, that I know I keep saying this word self-discovery, is the key. It's the key for all of us, each of us, to move forward in a way that we're actually contributing to this human evolution. There's no doubt, if we're on the planet right now, we're part of this. So the self-discovery in terms of what we bought into or what we brought with us as baggage, and wherever we are in our life right now, maybe many years into a certain career that's never quite felt right or fulfilling, or maybe we're just beginning a career, or maybe we're just ending careers and we're ready to retire, and this is so it doesn't matter where we are. It matters that we do the self-discovery. And how that is done is by going within. First of all, to even acknowledge that maybe we've been robotic because we just have certain reactions and certain ways of being that we picked up early on in childhood, and now they're automatic. So begin to start to become aware, make an intention to want to see where it is that you're just automatically responding to something, a circumstance, a situation, an idea, whatever. Start to, if you just can make the intention, that's all you have to do is say, I want to start to become awakened or aware of when I'm in automatic mode. And I think if you're like me, you're going to be pretty surprised by how often circumstances or situations come up and we get into this automatic mode, right? And then we're just often running into la la land without ever even thinking about maybe there's another way to see this. Maybe there's a different point of view. Maybe this belief no longer serves me. And so we begin then to kind of open up a little. The mind kind of allows the opening so that we can begin to kind of see through the fog, so to speak. It's baby steps and it's gradual for most of us. And it can be somewhat difficult. It can be kind of shocking at first when we begin to really see through this through self-discovery. It can feel kind of shocking, like, oh my God, how have I been so out of it? How did I stay in this automatic mode? And maybe it even feels like, well, it's too late to change this. Maybe it is, but maybe it isn't, because it's strictly about learning about ourselves. It's not the doing out there that matters. It's about going within and discovering within ourselves. So let's say you've finished your career, you're retired at this point, and you do the self-discovery, and you now realize, wow, I did this career, but it's not really what I wanted to do because this is who I really am inside. That is it. You've discovered. That's what we're being asked to do. It's not about out there doing something. It's about discovering within so that we can begin to release all of this baggage, all of this programming that no longer has served us, maybe has never really served us. But we're releasing the programs. We're moving outside of that conditioning just by becoming aware. So I don't want to have you get so focused on the what you're doing or what you're not doing, or what could have been or should have been. I want to have us get focused on this discovery of who we are, this inner work, and to allow the idea that maybe we're operating on a belief system, certain cultural belief system possibly, or growing up in a certain way that is really where we become robotic. It is just by becoming aware of this possibility that we can open up the idea to explore. And as we begin to explore, we begin to see, understand a whole different world, a whole different realm. And we can feel a tremendous amount of fulfillment and satisfaction that way. We can get to that peaceful place that we're all looking for, whether we understand it or not. Peace of mind. You know, a lot of times we have ideas about happiness and what makes us happy. And we kind of we kind of go off into that world. Well, what would make me happy? Well, you know, travel. Maybe that's it, your answer. Travel makes me happy. Or maybe it's something less, more simple. Being with my grandchildren makes me happy. Or maybe cooking makes me happy. Or, you know, being out in nature makes me happy. All those things are true, but it's not happiness because it doesn't last. It's an experience of pleasure. And sometimes we confuse happiness with where we're headed or what we're doing, where in reality we have become this robot of those things, and then we start searching for happiness and we get lost there thinking this or that'll make me happy, except it only lasts for whatever length of time you have the experience, and basically it's pleasure. But when we talk about really getting in touch through this self-discovery of who we really are, this is where that peace of mind comes. And peace of mind is like, really, it's not very, we can't really explain it in human terms. We can't because we don't understand it. So we have a taste of it here, a taste of what it's like to be, well, to be in a place where the worries are gone, acceptance is here. We aren't arguing or fighting anything. Got to stop and take a sip here, getting dry. We don't have the conflicts. It's a place of being, and it's a place also of pleasure, meaning pleasure of just being, meaning really seeing life unfold as it unfolds, because that's what we are. We're life unfolding. That's why we came here, to have this experience in this form. But we get lost, right? And so then that's where the struggle comes in. That's where comes in to be not happy with things. It comes in with confusion of trying this and trying that. Will this work? Will that work? Bottom line, it just always comes down to inner work, the self-discovery. Because all of us get started in the same way. We forget exactly who we are, maybe to different degrees. Some people probably are more in touch with that than others. But the bottom line is still and all, it's the game is, if we want to call it a game, is really learning self-discovery, who we are, who the true self is, and not who we think this whole illusion is about. And then we get that opportunity to really, really actually get what we came here for, which is to really watch life and be experiencing the unfolding of life in this physical form on this planet. And we begin to see things through a completely different set of eyes, so to speak, through the third eye. And we begin to all of a sudden recognize the beauty and the peace and the amazing situation we're in, because we're with the flow. Life is unfolding. We're no longer living by old beliefs or old ways of doing things or any kind of programming, but we can't get there unless we release all that. We can't get there until we've actually gone inside and had the self-discovery. We can't get there by still being the self that's the false self that has these beliefs and this programming and living by those every day. So there is a fabulous way to live this life, but first we got to do the work, right? So doing the work means, again, it's all about self-discovery. And because of where we are right now in this process, being on this planet at this time, it's being definitely where we have to ask of ourselves more than we ever have. It's in a way demanding that we really come to this place of understanding who we really are. Otherwise, we're going to get stuck. And everything's trying to move up, move through this evolutionary process. And the only way to do it is as a collective, is to work on ourselves. It's all an inside job. There's nothing outside. It's all an inside job, but it's an important, very important time right now. And it's a time where many of us kind of look out there and go, what the hell is going on out there? Everything seems crazy. And as soon as we kind of notice something that's been crazy, and then maybe we think it's not so crazy, something crazier happens. I mean, it's just unfolding that way. And we're watching it like, deer in headlights. Like, what is going on? Because we've never, as a human species, experienced this type of thing. And this is what has to happen to create really this evolution. We have to feel that things aren't right. We have to go through this process to wake up. So, I don't know, I felt really called, as they say, to speak about this because it's something I'm definitely going through myself. And as I begin to continue down this road of self-discovery, things just open up more and more for me. Really, this whole YouTube channel has done this for me because when I start to speak about it, I start to get a much more insightful idea of what's going on for me and where have I brought with me all these different beliefs and programs that I've been automatically doing and that no longer serve me. So these things have been coming up for me left and right. And the interesting thing is once I identify clearly, not coming from my intellect, but just really see, oh my God, I see, this is what I've been doing. And as I dive deep in, then the insights and the understanding in a way comes of where did this begin, and also the insight to, wait a minute, this is not me, this is a program running me. And when you begin to unravel that and take it apart, then it just kind of dissipates. And no, it's like then there's not much more to do. It just kind of loses its grip. Takes a little while because, I'll think like, okay, I got it, and then boom, I'm pulled back in. But so it takes a little while to really completely lose its grip. But it's gradual, and I can start to see where I'm letting go of certain ways that just not only no longer serve me, but it's where I suffer and struggle. But again, it's a process. So anymore, my mind is always about thinking about, where am I lost? Asking my guides, show me, give it to me. Show me what I need to see. And sometimes the showing me what I need to see is very uncomfortable. In other words, it shows up in an uncomfortable way. Causes me to, though, wake up. Causes me to really take a look within. Pretty much this is my life right now. That's what I'm doing, is really this whole self-discovery. This YouTube channel is where I talk about it, and that's pretty much it. And when I say pretty much it, it's a lot. And it's something I'm very passionate about. I will say that. I'm absolutely 100% passionate about this. I'm passionate about definitely contributing to where we are at this time as the human species. And this is where I talk about, really, I'd like to gather people. If this is the way that this channel is supposed to go, and of course, it's really my guides are going to take me there, then I still feel that it's a great time to start to have conversations with just everyday people and begin to share our journeys with one another and start to move outside of this, what do we want to call it, this illusionary place we're at, and help each other grow and really, taking each other's hands and really helping us through it and I think it happens through communication, through opening up to new ideas. So rather than just hearing where I'm at or these ideas, then we could start to begin to hear how many other people's ideas, and that's going to expand others. And it's kind of then that, domino effect, where people that maybe were feeling stuck, they might listen to somebody else here and they'll relate. They'll say, oh my God, that's me. And then something opens up. So this is what we're trying to do for one another, is open up to help one another move beyond where we've been. I hope that makes sense. I don't know how else to explain it right now. And maybe I'll come up with I won't, but it'll be downloaded to me on how to maybe better explain it. But I think I'm saying enough that you get the idea, right? So that is where my passion is right now. And like I said, I kind of felt this call to share this today, because as it comes up, I want to share it while it's still very fresh. And then when I do that, it's helping me as well to kind of really get into the heart of it. So before I end, I'm going to remind whoever is out there listening, if this idea appeals to you of really helping one another through sharing our life journey stories, then click on that link below the video to contact me, and I'll get back with you and we can have a conversation about doing it, about what we want to talk about, or even if you don't want to do it but you're curious about something, let's at least start this communication. And I'm waiting for the signs. I really am. I could go out and I know I could gather some people together, there's no doubt, to do this, but I'm kind of wanting to use to use this idea of, I'm not positive of how this should go in that way. Not that I still feel very solid we can do this, but how should it evolve, right? So I'm taking action by talking about it right now, and I've been talking about it. But I don't want to try to force it right now. It doesn't feel right. So I'm not wanting to reach out there right now and kind of put things in place. I'm getting the sense to just see if this can evolve organically, because I think that's what it's supposed to do, is evolve organically. So we'll see, but I want to encourage you, if anything like this idea appeals to you, but maybe you feel a little hesitant, or, like you don't know if you want to put yourself out there, let's talk. I'm definitely there to support you in whatever it is that's right for you. But again, click on that link below the video. And let's see what we can discover, just you and I talking, right? I don't mean even on Zoom, just you and I talking on the phone. Maybe that's a way to start. Again, I'm not, if you're hearing me, I'm really wanting this to organically happen. So that's what I'm doing. That's how I think about it so far every day. If something's supposed to change, there's no doubt I'll be informed in some way. Okie dokie. So that's it today. Want to remind you to be kind to yourself. Hope you're still working on that, man. I am. I mean, some days it's easier, right? But some days it's harder. And it gets elusive, like, okay, be kind to myself. How do I do that? Yeah, okay. So we're all working on that. That's important as well. Everything's important right now that I'm saying, right? Sounds that way. Well, I think it is. So in the meantime, again, be kind to yourself. And until next time, take care. I'm going to click. I know I'm going to be able to click this off. It's so crazy. In one click, but let's see what happens today. No.